Tokyo's expensive, right? Not necessarily. We spent 12 days in Japan's capital and I didn't need to remortgage my house. In this video I'll show you how I made Tokyo affordable. Flights, hotels, food, day trips, real numbers, real tips. Let's go! Let's start with a big spend. Flights and where to sleep. Weirdly, I booked this through British Airways as a package and we got flights and hotel for around 1100. This is 12 nights. It's not dirt cheap, but it's Tokyo. That's good. You can get it cheaper and I'll show you one at the end. However, this was my dream holiday with my kid and I wanted everything to go right. I've got a system. I've done plenty of videos about that. Why not go to my channel and have a look? But there's plenty of other people doing it on YouTube. We flew from Heathrow, direct flight, good luggage allowance, no fuss. Meals in flight, the works. It was a really good deal. Was it fancy? No. Did it do the job? Absolutely. The hotel was a business grade hotel in Asakusa. Now Asakusa is close enough to get to most places and has a few things to do. We were walking distance from Sensoji, just about walking distance from the Skytree, loads of decent restaurants, great place Ryogoku. Getting around cheap. Getting around Tokyo, there's no such thing as ultimately cheap, but the Suica card is really good. There are metro all-day passes. If you're going to ride the metro all day, that's great, but you can't go on all the trains. The Suica will charge you for whichever network you're travelling on. We were lucky enough to be able to put it on our phones. It doesn't work with all phones, but you just buy a card when you get to the airport. Boom, job done. Just tap in and out, no hassle, no queuing for tickets, no putting change in machines. Got to remember this, they do still use cash over there. And we just used the metro system. Unfortunately, I didn't get on a Shinkansen. I wanted to, but we didn't really have the need, and they're not cheap. But there are ways of doing just one stop, but you're not going to get to maximum speed. We didn't bother. I would say, on average, there weren't many days where we spent more than £10 on transport, which I thought was quite reasonable. And it's a bloody big place. So we did go out of Tokyo, we went to Yokohama, and we did it all on the Suica. Wasn't a problem. Don't lose your card, which is why have it on your phone. You're less likely to lose it. I'm not going to say unlikely to lose it, but I've never lost a phone. Another one where you can save a bit of money is eating well without spending big. Now we all know you can go and have grade A5 Wagyu beef and yeah, you can spend hundreds on a sit down. And maybe you want to, nothing wrong with it. We tended to eat at what they call mom and pop type places. And they were great. Some of them can be a little bit restrictive on the menu. You'll get an English only menu where you have 3 choices and you point at a picture. But that's part of the fun. But the real deal breaker, I think, for eating cheap in Tokyo is your konbinis. 7-Eleven, Lawson's, Family Mart. For your breakfast, you can have an onigiri or the famous egg sandwich. It is so light and fluffy, it is unbelievable. Tinned coffee is actually really good out there and you can get it from vending machines. If you're not into your onigiri, for the uninitiated, A, what you're doing watching a video about Tokyo, but B, an onigiri is basically a rice ball wrapped in seaweed with all sorts of fillings. You can even get spam in an onigiri. It's called a spamigiri. But konbinis, you can get anything that would class as a breakfast for next to nothing. The Japanese aren't very big on breakfast, but there are hotels that serve breakfast, and there's a lot of places that are a cross between Greggs and Costa. It's not particularly cheap, but you can get a toasty and a coffee for a few hundred yen, generally around about a £5. But the real winner for breakfast is 7-Eleven, onigiri, something sweet, a drink. You're talking £3 or £4. It's unbelievably cheap. Lunch, you can still go to the konbinis if you want. A lot of them do hot chicken. I'm telling you now, Family Mart chicken is to die for. A couple of hot snacks. Now that is very Greggs style, but boom, you can again eat for £3 or £4. You've got McDonald's, but why go to McDonald's when you're in Tokyo? There are so many better chains. Mosburger is unbelievable. There is a place that is famous for Michelin-starred ramen for under $10. But all ramen is good in Tokyo. And what you've got to remember is everyone will say, oh, you must try the best sushi chain. You must try the best. Any sushi in Japan is better than what we've had at home. So Kura Sushi is fantastic. We only went there once in the 12 days, but we smashed that menu. We wanted to try everything. I ordered 3 pints because I didn't think a conveyor belt could deliver it 3 times without spilling it. It failed. I had to drink 3 pints. It was terrible, but it worked. I was terrified of pressing the button at the end. We'd had everything on, onagi. No, is it called onagi? Yeah, the eel. We'd had so many different types of sushi, sashimi, and the meal for 2 of us came to £35. I was worried when I pressed the button because he just kept putting plates in. I'm going, this is going to cost. Wasn't bad at all. So yeah, we didn't do any 5-star dining, but there are options that are cheap. I would say we had one place where we got a tempura set with a drink of water. So you got tempura, including prawn, noodles, water, green tea for £5. That's not takeaway, that's sit-in, and that's just off Asakusa. You literally 2-minute walk from Sensoji. So food doesn't have to break the bank, but it can. So just set your budget and stick to it. So I would say, other than the odd splurge, we were probably spending £20, £25 a day each on food, if that. Another tip is there's a chain called Size Area. It is the budget of budget. You think Wetherspoons make the menu 10 times bigger and half the price, you won't be far off. They were doing wine for about 50 pence a glass. It is crazy. The food's not the best, trust me. However, there's plenty of it, good sized portions, and you will be in and out of there and consume alcohol for as low as a tenner a head. What else do you want? Now this is where you can really kill your budget. Free or nearly free attractions, and some of them are quite expensive. Essentially, in a city of 33 million people, there would be civil unrest if there wasn't stuff to do. So there's just so much to do, and so much of it is free or nearly free. For example, Sensoji is the largest temple in Tokyo. Yes, it's a tourist trap, but it's free to go to. If you want to do a fortune, you put a couple of yen, you pick a fortune, you tie it off if it's a bad one, you keep it if it's a good one. You're talking a couple of quid just to do that. But around Sensoji, this is why I recommend if you only do one temple, do Sensoji, unless you are really into temples. Around Sensoji, there is a massive shopping street, Nakamizi Street, I think it's called, and you can do all your souvenirs, street food. There's always somewhere selling takoyaki fresh, cooked right in front of your eyes. Problem is with takoyaki fresh, cooked right in front of your eyes. You've had it in the UK, I think they do it in Wagamama, and yes, it can be hot in this country. It is nuclear heat in a takoyaki. If you're going to have one, either break it or let it stand for a bit, but otherwise do it. And they're pennies again, well they're not pennies, they're a couple of quid, but yeah, definitely into that. So after you've done Sensoji, you can go and see Hachikuku, the dog, just take in Tokyo. You go to Shinjuku, there's 3D billboard with a cat. But it's not just a cat, there's spacecraft coming out, and if you think Back to the Future was futuristic in 1985, this is the first time I've seen one, and I went 40 years later. That alone is worth doing, but you can sit and watch the street buskers, just soak in. There's Godzilla. These are all things you can see for nothing. So far, I haven't mentioned anything that has an entry fee. And it all takes time, so you can spend your days just looking at stuff that's free. We did a river cruise on the Sumida River when we first got there to kill time. About £8 each. We were gone for 2 hours, straight through Tokyo, under Rainbow Bridge. I'll say that again, under Rainbow Bridge. You know, the one you go over in Mario, it's in every single Mario game. You can go under it and about. What else do you need? That's less than a tenner. You make that your only attraction for the day. It's still a cheap day. The Asahi Beer Tower is free to go up. And for me, we went up the Skytree as well, but the Asahi Beer Tower is free to go up. All you've got to do is sit down and order a drink. Wow. It's not as high as the Skytree, but that means you can see things from it. The Skytree, although it's amazing, and I wouldn't recommend not doing it on at least one trip to Tokyo, you are too high up to actually clearly see anything. So you have to get your phone out and then zoom in to see things. And sometimes you can be in the clouds, but the beer tower is low enough to get a great view. And I'm not going to say it's free because you do have to buy a beer and it's not the cheapest, but you are buying Asahi beer, which is absolutely amazing. From the headquarters of the company who make it, they're not going to do a bad pint, are they? And the nuts are complimentary. But there are so many other things. We went to Disneyland, we went to Disney Sea. Yes, that's not a cheap day out, but it's cheaper than Euro Disney. It's unique. It's the only Disney that is built around water in such a way. Bang! And the food in Tokyo Disney is much cheaper than any other Disney park. In fact, it's much cheaper than any other theme park in the UK or most of Europe. We were getting meals for about £12 a head in there. The only downside is if you want to do the rides and avoid the queues, the fast pass system is not cheap. However, it's once in a lifetime experience. take a day trip out to Yokohama. You can do that for a bus fare or a train fare or whatever. Unfortunately, Yokohama doesn't have a Gundam anymore. It's got a great little mini theme park. It's got the iconic wheel that they show on the New Year's Eve thing. It's got the largest Chinatown. They say outside of China, but you can't really call Chinatown in China Chinatown. It's, let's face it, it's bloody China. But there's a lot to see in Yokohama. We did a day trip down to Kamakura because we wanted to see the massive Buddha and take in some of the sights down there, see the sea. You can see some train scenes that were in famous animes. I'm not an anime geek, so I can't tell you which one it was. But that was a full day out, again, for the price of... They're very good on doing these regional passes where you can travel down every railway in a region. And that was only about £12 a head. Full day out, found a lovely little Hello Kitty cafe, did another temple. I think by then I was templed out, but it was a great temple. There was a wedding going on there. We didn't understand it, but yeah, I've done my temples. Let's face it, I've probably been in more temples in Japan than I've been in churches in the UK, I'm afraid to say. Now for me, day trips. There is no such thing. A day trip can run away with you cost-wise. So I'm a massive fan of Viator. We did a day trip to Mount Fuji, a bit unsuccessful, but at least it combined doing other things while you were there. So we stopped at a lake where you could have got a good view of Mount Fuji if it wasn't covered in cloud. However, there was a craft festival going on there, so we got that. We went to an ancient Edo village. Again, if there'd been no cloud, we'd have had an amazing view of Mount Fuji from there. Appeared briefly. However, we had a really interesting Edo ancient village to look round, and they also took us to the iconic pagoda. In fact, I've got a picture of me with Mount Fuji behind me. Believe me, it was there, it was just covered in cloud. So you went to 3 different things, and if you hadn't seen Mount Fuji, you at least did 3 different things in a decent length day trip, and you learnt a lot from the guide. That came in at about £30 each, but that was a full day out, all your entertainment included, so why not? Another day out we did was we were lucky enough to get tickets for the Studio Ghibli Museum. It's fantastic. But that takes about a day by the time you got there. By the time you've been to Shiroji's cream puff shop and got yourself back into town, that's a full day out. But again, because you've planned it, the costs are controllable. That was ridiculously cheap because we planned in advance. We got our tickets for about a tenner. The other thing, now this is a bit controversial because some people say they really don't like it, is the Mario Karting through the streets. You know what, if you want to do it, do it. There is nowhere else I've been in the world where you can drive a Mario Kart alongside cars. I couldn't help myself. That wasn't so cheap. You were out for, I think it was an hour and a half, and it was about 60 quid each. However, you're going to get a great view at Shibuya Crossing. To me, the best view is looking through the steering wheel of a Mario Kart going beep beep beep. What else do you need? Again, not all of them are cheap experiences, however they're controllable because you've booked them and you've paid in advance and you know what they are. Skytree is, I can't remember the exact price, it's about £20 to buy the full package to go all the way to the top. But you could spend all day up there if you wanted to. I'm not sure that you would. Oh, I forgot, if you go to Yokohama, the Nissan Cup Noodle Museum is well worth doing. That's it, you make your own cup noodles, it's a couple of quid. You can design your own recipe, bring them home, and I love cup noodles anyway, but cup noodles that I made are the best you can get. So, was it cheap? Not dirt cheap, but I know people who have paid that much money to go to Spain for a week. Okay, they may have had all-inclusive. I think I spent less per day than I've spent in some European countries. Was it good value? Well, let's face it. It's taken me 57 years to get there. I may not get round to doing it again. There's no getting away from it. It's a trip of a lifetime. Everyone I know that has been has said it was their trip of a lifetime. Some of them have gone back again. Lucky them. It is doable on a budget without staying in capsule hotels and taking 12 different changes to get there. Don't forget, we did all of this on British Airways, booked as a package through, let's face it, an airline that are not renowned for being cheap, but it was a fair price. You're talking, it's £1,100, it's less than £100 a day per person to go the other side of the world and sleep in a nice hotel. I think you'd struggle to do that in London, especially if you included the train fare to get there. But we did not have the full package. Now, I haven't found it online yet, so I'm just going to point upwards and a picture's going to drop down, showing you how cheap I have found you can do it. However, if you can make it work, I I heartily recommend the British Airways experience, because at the very least, at the back of my mind was I knew that if they were recommending the hotel, it wasn't going to be a dump. And it wasn't. It was a beautiful hotel. Bear in mind, I did stay in the cheapest option. So if you've got any questions, put them in the comments. Thanks ever so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.